All right, what's up, guys? This is Ryan with Elevate Security, and we're going to wrap up on the Linux portion of this series in this video. We're most of the way done, I would say. Let's see. Basically, where we left off, I wrote that bash script, showed you how to make it executable, and we went ahead and ran that. Now, while we're on the topic of sort of the text editor, or not even text editing, I guess, but kind of like reading files, there's multiple ways you can do it. Let me hop into Tmux. Tmux is another command line utility. It's really good for managing your windows, because if you don't use Tmux, then you're going to have to keep spawning like a ton of different terminals, and you're going to have them all over the place. You're not going to be sure which one you were doing what with, and it's just going to be a pain, because when you're pen testing, when you're hacking and stuff, you're going to have a lot of different things going on at the same time. Like I've mentioned many times on this channel, you always want to have recon running in the background. Now, the thing is, if you have a bunch of recon running, you have like 5 or 10 or however many different terminal windows. It's going to be really difficult to manage at a certain point. Pretty quickly, this is going to become an issue. So this is where I love to use Tmux. With Tmux, you can have it all in one. So see here, I have this window here, and you could probably look up the instructions on how to use it. IPSec has a really good video on how to use it. I don't want to take up too much time discussing Tmux. Maybe in a later video I can make my own. But the way I would spawn a new window, basically how you run all the Tmux commands is you type Control B, Control plus B, and then whichever key you hit next is basically your Tmux hotkey. So if I do Control B and then I type C, that's going to spawn this new window here. So now I have these two windows. I am currently, the asterisk here means I am on this window 1 here. If I want to go back to window 0, I do Control B 0, Control B 1, Control B 0. Of course, I can delete it just by typing exit, same as you would exit out of any terminal session. But what else is really cool is I can actually name these windows. So say I have like 3 different windows here, and on this first one, I'm running my Nmap scan. I can actually do Control B and then, what is it? I'm drawing a blank here. Comma, Control B and then comma, and I can rename it. So I can call it Nmap. And then the second one, say it's like we're doing some Metasploit stuff. We can call this MSF. And then on the third one, we'll say we're doing some directory brute forcing with like dirbuster. Oops. So let's go to 2. So we could call it dirb, right? So now I can see at a glance, okay, I have these 3 different windows here, and this is what I'm doing on each of them, and I can easily change back and forth between them. So it's just super good. Not only that, though, but I can also have multiple windows on the same, what was it? I'm trying to remember the other command, but I can have multiple windows on the same screen here. And yeah, I just actually took a quick detour to pull up some stuff online. I'll link a really good and helpful, I'm going to start using this. I didn't even know about this link before, but this GitHub page that has a bunch of the different hotkeys there for you in a nice readable way. I think I found in the past, I found some articles, but they were really messy. This is a really clean one, so I'll be sure to link it in the description so you can see all the different hotkey options you have, or at least a lot of the really useful ones. So I can, like I was saying, I can split it vertically with the Control B and then % sign here. So what this is really useful for is, you know, the convenience of having everything available at a glance in one place, but also not only that, the way I like to use this a lot in the context of hacking, right, is say up here I have a shell on a box, right? I already have some kind of, what is it? I have like a user level, access to like a user level account, and I want to spawn a shell as root. So down here is where I would have like a netcat listener, right? Just for example, right? So then here is where I would like run the command to connect back to to the system, right? So then when or maybe it's a script that I'm exploiting that's running as root, or you know, whatever the case may be. So you could do something like, say, this, and then I can see right away. I don't have to go to another window and be like, oh, what listener did I have my window on? No, it's just like right here, right away. Then I just move right down here and I can start running commands, right? So it's a really convenient way to do it when you need to connect back to a listener or something like that. That's how one of the big use cases for me. Or if I'm up here like in my shell running commands, I'm like, oh shoot, what's my IP address? Oh, let me just run ifconfig. And then quickly I see, okay, here's my IP address. Or I did Control B plus page up. That's how I can get in this mode where I can just keep scrolling back. When I'm done, I hit Q for quit. And so, boom, I see what it is. Okay, exit, and then I go back to running my command. So I love Tmux. There's also one called Terminator, and there's probably some other options too, to be honest. But you know, this is the one I've been using for a while on the recommendation of IPSec, and I would definitely recommend this for all of you guys doing this kind of Kali Linux work, pen testing, hacking, whatever. Even if you're not doing it in Kali, you can still get Tmux, obviously, in any of the other distributions. So yeah, I would highly recommend that. You might want to see what processes are running on the system. So if I do ps-ef, which if we're not sure what that is, because it's been a while since that's just something I kind of remembered. But select all processes. Yeah, so we weren't selecting all processes before. So now we're selecting all processes, and -f is for do the full format listing. So it gets it in this nice full format listing for us. So this is a lot of, you know, we can see all the different stuff running. So I can do less, and I can see it in this nice format here. Now maybe I just want to see what services are running as root. I can actually grep root and then see all the stuff that is running under the root account. And again, just keep going with that. I can just keep piping. I guess that's something I will mention in closing as well, right, is the idea of piping. And so the way that Linux works is Std In, Std Out, and Std Err. Okay, what do I mean by that? Std In, it could be from a file. If you want to read the contents of a file and use that to process, like feed that into a Linux command to do something. But in most cases, the Std In is going to come from your terminal, right? Like anything I type here, this is, when I hit enter, that's going in like Std In, okay? Std Out is the output to the console. So maybe I cat etc password. Okay, well, what's going to be Std Out? Well, all the text here is Std Out. Std Err would be, let me go back to my account here. Let's do something I don't have permission to do. Like, let's try to cat etc shadow. Permission denied. So here you see it comes up with this error message. This is, even though it printed it to the console, this is not actually Std Out. This is actually Std Err, because anything that results in an error like this, error message, is going to get a Std Err. And I believe I can confirm this is if I just pipe the error to dev null, which is basically like the void. It goes nowhere. See? Now when I ran this, because this is Std Err, and I piped all Std Err to dev null, I don't even get anything on my console because I'm redirecting the output. Instead of going, it will, by default, Std Err goes to your output, Std Out, but I'm redirecting Std Err into dev null, so now I just don't get anything, right? So that was why, going back to the last video, when I ran the find command, I piped the errors to dev null, because I just wanted to see the positive findings, not all the, oh, you don't have access to go here. So really cleaned up the output for me. So that's just basically what that is. Now, with that being said, we can actually take the output and we can feed that in as Std In to another command. So basically, when I do cat etc password, right, and all this stuff that is right now on Std Out, we can actually feed that in as Std In to another command. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you've already seen me do this, essentially, right? Think about the let's say the grep command, right? We've already grepped for like the mail account, but let's really break this command structure down here. So when we have a command like this, we pipe into grep, what we're basically doing is we have two commands. This first command produces the output that we saw before. Now we're taking that output and feeding it into the grep command as input. So now in the context of this command, the standard in is the output of this cat command, okay? And that will give you standard out of just the mail information here. This is all that's in the standard out of this command. Now I can just keep on doing this, right? I could feed that into a cut command. Say I only wanted this field here, right? Oops. Say I only wanted this, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th field. Say I only wanted no, we'll take this last one, right? Say I just wanted the 7th field. So I can take, I can take the output of this grep command and feed that in as standard in to the cut command. And I can say, give me field 7, and the delimiter is the colon, because if you remember, that's what was delimiting it. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but that was the one that was the separator, right? So now, you see how I can just keep on chaining these commands. I mean, I could even feed it into another cut command if I want. I could say cut field, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could say cut field 4 and delimit by, now we delimit by the slash. See? So that's how you can just keep chaining your commands to get exactly the info you want. Now I could even use the redirector here, and I can write this to a file. We'll call this file.txt. Now I redirected standard output. That's why nothing came to the screen, right? I redirected standard out into a file. Remember before how I redirected to dev null? Well, this time I redirected to a file. So if I look here, now we have file.txt, and that's the content, right? So it's really systematic how all this stuff flows together. That's a nice thing about Linux. That's why some people love it so much, right? If I want to take another field, let's say this time I take the 3rd field, I can actually do double arrows here to append to the file, because if I ran this, right, let's say I don't do that. Well, what's going to happen when I cat the file now is this no login, it got erased. Now all we have is this. If I wanted to append, what I could do is I could just do the double arrow and that will append. So now when I cat the file, you'll see both. Another thing, maybe I do want the output to the console and the file. What if I want that? Well, what I could actually do is I could run the T command. And so T, it will output it to the console as well as to the file. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff like that. And honestly, guys, this is just scratching the surface. There's literally so much to this stuff. And I know this video is getting kind of long, but I really wanted to break that down. Now, there's other stuff too, like I didn't cover sed. Maybe I'll cover sed in another one that has its use cases for sure. Cut will get you pretty far too. You've seen how I use cut. So yeah, we'll kind of move on from here. But this Linux stuff is not going to be just like I made these 2 videos on it. Linux stuff is stuff you're going to be seeing me utilize in all the other videos when I'm explaining other stuff, when I'm, attacking these different boxes. You're going to learn just by following along and watching these other videos as well. But I really wanted to give you a good introduction, something that was going a little bit more on the intermediate side of the house. But yeah, let me know if there's any questions or comments down in the section below, maybe anything I can clear up in another video. But yeah, we'll just keep moving through this stuff, getting to the more fun stuff, if you will. So I'll see you in the next video.